today I'm going to spell out for you 5 tried and true battle tested strategies that are going to help you get through the holiday season, enjoying yourself while at the same time not gaining any excess weight. Stay tuned. So today we're talking about trying to do your best during the holiday season to not gain weight and going over some tips to help you do exactly that. First, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, and do be sure to like and subscribe because it does make a difference. And if you subscribe, you also get access to all this premium content that's going to be coming out pretty much on a regular frequency at this point. And today we're focusing on what worked for the holidays. Now, I'm going to start off by making a bit of a disclaimer in that over the holiday season, I eat almost exactly the same as I do if it's not the holiday season. I don't believe that much in cheap meals. And because I'm the one that's the primary cook over the holidays, I get to make sure that my meals are kind of in line with how I eat at all times. Now, that being said, I understand that everybody doesn't have the same degree of, let's say, motivation that I have for eating well because they're not in the same place. And I myself, I eat the way I eat, not because of any desire to look a certain way or win competitions. I'm not competing anymore. I haven't competed since 2004 and won't be on stage for a very, very long time to come, if ever at all. It's not really a concern about how I look. It's just about I eat the way I eat because it feels good. But it takes a while to get there. It takes a while before you get to a place where you've really mastered the art of controlling yourself, controlling your food intake, and being in a place where what you want to eat and what you should be eating are the same things. It takes a while. So in the meantime, here are some things that you can do to make it such that the holiday season doesn't really feel like, you're in one of the rings of hell and really suffering by having all these people around and all this pressure around you to keep on eating. Now, the first thing that you need to always do whenever there's a holiday meal, be it Thanksgiving, be it Christmas, be it whichever holiday season it is, or holiday meal it is, or party, or get together, always eat first. That's number one. Always leave home with something in your stomach. Don't ever make the mistake of going to a dinner or going to a lunch or going to an office gathering where there's going to be food where you're completely hungry. Now, I'm not saying that you should overdo it. Don't have like a full meal because you want to enjoy the time with your friends. But think about it. Think about how many times you really struggled when you were hungry under controlled circumstances, home by yourself, where you pretty much have all the control you need to eat what you want to eat and make your choices, and how hard it is to make the right choices when you're hungry. Now, let's add, the pressure of everybody around you encouraging you to eat. Let's add the pressure of having foods around that you may not necessarily have at home. And let's add to that the fact that you might be a little bit hungry when you get there. And right there, you have a recipe for disaster. You're not going to be able to make your best judgments. You're not going to be able to think in terms of moderation, and you might overdo it. Now, you may be perfectly fine, but the idea is you always want to go in prepared for anything and doing your best on your side to make sure you make the best choices possible. So going in with something in your stomach, and I usually advocate someone to have some protein. Protein tends to be the best thing, like a small protein meal before going in. It makes a huge difference in terms of your choices when you're actually at the table or at the buffet and you have all these fantastic things in front of you. It does make a difference. So make sure. That's number one. Number two, when you get there, before you have your meal, whatever it is that you've chosen, make sure you drink a good 8 ounces of water. And make sure the only thing that you drink throughout your time there is water. No alcohol, no juices, nothing like that. The last thing you need is liquid calories, because the problem with liquid calories is that it's so easy to add so much, and you're already in an environment where you might be eating foods that are higher in calories than the foods you normally eat. You don't want to compile that by adding the empty calories that you're going to get from any kind of a juice, or even worse, you don't want to add alcohol to the mix. You really and truly don't. Alcohol has some really bad attributes when it comes to fat burning. Your body has to break it down. In breaking it down, it breaks down into acetate. Acetate is used as a fuel, which makes it very difficult for your body to break down fats using your liver at the time that you have alcohol in your system. It can depress your testosterone levels, which makes it harder for you to lose fat, build muscle, even though you're worked out. It kind of can create some problems with that. You don't want to deal with it. So alcohol is a no-no. Liquid, like juices or anything like that as well, those are a lot of calories. You don't want to have it. If you feel like you want something tasty like a fruit juice, have some fruit if they have fruit, but don't add any more calories to what you already are going to be eating, because let's be honest, you're probably going to eat more than you normally do. So that's the second thing. Make sure you only have as your beverage water. The third thing, choose wisely what you're going to eat, and make sure that the majority of the foods that you're eating are high protein foods. And think of it this way. We talk about, the trying to, portion control and what your portion should be as far as macronutrients in terms of proteins, fat, and carbohydrates. And it's really hard to kind of do that visually. But here's how I look at it. Always think of it this way. Always have twice as much protein as you have carbohydrates on your plate. That kind of tends to make it work out pretty well, which means you're not going to have that much carbs at all. Now, a lot of people with some things like, they'll put their plate, and the majority of stuff on their plate will be kind of like half and half, or even more carbs, more carbohydrates on the plate than there is protein. Don't do that. Go protein heavy. But don't make the mistake of not having any carbs. Because if you're only eating protein, you're going to get hungry. Even though it might be high in fat, eating only proteins can sometimes make you, a little ravenous. And if you're going to have carbs around you, it could be a problem. So the strategy is eat your proteins first. It'll fill you up a little bit. Then have a little carbs. And if you want to have seconds, which goes into our other point, if you want to have seconds, your seconds should be the protein that you had and the carbs you had in the same proportions. If you're going to have a little less protein, you're going to have proportionally exactly the same amount of carbohydrates. Don't go back for seconds at any point in time for just carbs. Never. In fact, if you can just go back and just have protein, that's actually a really, really, really good strategy. Okay? Now, the fifth point that I want to make is not so much a matter of eating strategy, but dealing with the socialization aspect. Start said that hell, is other people. And for some people, when they're trying to lose weight and not gain weight over the holidays, they feel like hell is indeed other people, because they push you to encourage you to eat all these wrong things, that and the other. And, it goes without saying that dessert is something that, if you're serious about trying to not gain weight over the holidays, for most people, it's best to try to skip dessert, or instead of having a dessert, if you have any kind of fruits or a fruit salad, bring it with you and have that as your dessert. Very often, if there's going to be any kind of a holiday gathering, you can bring something. And I always think it's a good idea to bring what you would probably want to have that's a little bit on the sweet side for a dessert that's not going to push you over in terms of calories. That's a really good idea. And as far as the socialization aspect of it, people tend to push you to have dessert when they're having dessert. But if you brought something to the table, it's not going to be as weird as everyone's having dessert and you're not having any dessert whatsoever. You'll be having something, and it'll be pretty natural that you'd be having something that you brought yourself. And you want to encourage others to have it the same way that they're going to be encouraging you to have the desserts that are going to be in front of you. Okay? It's important to understand that when someone is trying to encourage you to eat something that's on the sweet side, it's not because they're trying to sabotage your dietary practices. That's not what it is at all. They're just being social. They're eating something that they really enjoy and they want you to enjoy it too. It's a way that we show that we care about each other. Now, it can wreak havoc on your dietary plans. But one other interesting and effective tip that helps is the idea of recruiting people to help you with your weight loss over the holidays. See, growing up in Trinidad, food is everywhere, and holidays, it's all about eating. In fact, parties for us is all about eating. We eat all the time, and we eat lots of different foods and lots of foods. And it can be really hard for someone like me growing up trying to, stay as lean as possible around the holidays when I have all that peer pressure. And what I did and what I've done all through my adulthood and my life is recruit people to help me out. So instead of making it a heads-on confrontation, which can very often happen and make it uncomfortable for you around the holidays, where you and your family and your friends kind of come to come to almost to blows in terms of ideology as to how to eat. You're saying you should be eating this way and they're saying you should be eating that way. Avoid that completely. Start the conversation by saying that you're working really hard to lose weight and it's been really hard for you, and could everyone help you during this time? It's going to be hard for you to try to stay on par and make sure you don't overdo it. You see, people are inherently, I do believe, are inherently helpful, and they inherently do want what's best for you. Very often when they make, suggestions that are negative to your diet, it's not out of any kind of malice or disrespect for what you're trying to do. It's just that they don't know any better. But very often, if you give people a chance, you'd be surprised. What I would do, I would say, I have a competition coming up and I want to look my very best for this contest. And I'm really worried that I'm not going to have the willpower to get through, this particular meal and not eat the wrong things. And people would say, hey, Kevin, we want to make sure you're okay. And they would kind of actively change their perspective and they would become very helpful. They would say things like, Kevin, this is healthy, right? You should have some of this. Kevin, not too sure that's healthy. You probably shouldn't have any of that. Now, it's a very useful strategy and it very often does work. And I think it's important also, if it doesn't work, to realize that when we make our decisions to lose weight, to eat better, those are our decisions. It's a personal thing. It's not anyone else's. And so we really can't expect others to be always 100% on board with what we're doing. And we also shouldn't get angry or upset when people don't support us when we're trying to eat better. The holiday season is a time of celebration, a time for family, time for friends, time for festivities. And it's very important not to let it get you down if anybody does kind of make it difficult for you to eat better. Important too, if you do slip, you get right back on there. Even in the meal, even if in the middle of a really big meal, you eat something that you absolutely probably shouldn't be having, Don't give in to it. Don't say, well, screw it. I already blew my diet. I'm going to keep on eating. Don't do that. Go right back to the plan. High protein, moderate carbs. And always, of course, the sauces, lots of calories there. Keep it on the side. Try not to have it. If you are going to have it, be aware of how much you're having. Be mindful and enjoy yourself. Now remember, be kind to yourself and be kind to everybody around you. That's the way you're going to be in a place of equilibrium. Wishing everyone a wonderful holiday season and Excelsior. Thanks for tuning in.